Hey guys, welcome to another week of the Monday Huddle, where we give you tips, tricks, ideas, how to beat your Monday. I'm G.
This is Derek.
And we are bringing you another quote for the week to help you be your best.
So this quote says, always believe that something wonderful is about to happen. Who said that? Sucraj S. Dillon. Dillon, not sure. Sucraj S. Dillon is what I'm going to say. We'll give it a shot. Apologize in advance for absolutely tearing that name up. But the quote says, always believe that something wonderful is going to happen. G, do you feel like people go into the week out of Saturday through Sunday believing that something awesome is going to happen on Monday?
You know, I think that our brains are wired that the moment that something negative happens, we're living our life hoping for the best but expecting the worst.
Wow, I feel like that's advice that I've been given
Yeah.
before. Hope for the best. Or was it hope for the best but expect the worst? It's almost like you can't be in any singular moment
Right.
because expecting for something to sabotage you, right? I think this is where I've heard this is where the knock on wood comes from, where like people back in the day believed that like spirits or demons or like little elves or fairies, they hid in trees waiting to like sabotage every good thing. And so when something good happened, people would knock on wood to scare away the elves. And I feel like maybe Monday is our wood.
Yeah.
It's like it's like we come through the weekend, Friday, it's like yes, Saturday, it's like yes, Sunday is like a chill transition day. And here we go knocking on Monday, like don't mess up my vibe, don't mess up my groove. But to me, I don't know how to live in like a singular space if I'm always like looking for good but expecting bad. It feels like something like Monday's always over my shoulder. Like, don't do something too great. Like another Monday is coming or another week is coming. Like, how do we get past that?
You know, it's kind of almost like a self-sabotage, right?
Yeah.
Like we self-sabotage successes because some of us, the reality is that we have gotten so comfortable in not achieving the level of greatness that we desire because we get right to the door and all of a sudden the whole thing collapses.
Yeah.
Like have you ever been in a season of your life where you're like, man, it's about to happen, it's about to break loose, we're about to make it the best year, and all of a sudden, right when we get there, it all falls through.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I think that that's what happens. I think people sabotage themselves because of what they've experienced in their life that they are like, listen, I don't want to get my hopes up because they ain't going to work anyway.
So do you believe that like disappointment and failure because you hoped too much is worse than expecting disappointment and failure because you didn't prepare?
Well, yeah, when you hope too much and then over and over and over, it's just kind of like, you're like...
And I think that's the self-sabotage people. It's like, if I don't try too hard, then I can't expect too much. But if I try my best and I put it all out there and it still fails, like what's the point of trying my best if it's not going to succeed anyway?
Well, you know, I was talking to someone just yesterday and I said, have you ever been to a restaurant and the food was horrible? And she said, yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
She went right to the place, right? I'm not
She
going
said the name?
No, she did.
Okay, I was like, we're not going to say the name of her.
So, but then all of a sudden, I'm like, I asked her, so, but have you stopped eating at restaurants? She was like, no, absolutely not. My family ate out today.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and there are some things that we put into categories where we're like, oh, that was just one bad restaurant. No, we got to look at our life overall and just say, you know what, that was a bad experience. I've learned from it. And I think that our minds, we fall into a traumatic situation and then life begins to trigger us then on forward. Instead of just learning from a moment, we get affected by moments.
Ooh, see, that's really good because I believe that not only myself, us, people in general, I think when we are in traumatic moments or we've come through failure and then anything that resembles what we went through, it triggers us, right? And so now it causes us to be on guard, cautious, pull back, not fully invested. And that could be the same way with marriages, with relationships, with jobs.
Everything.
I mean, if you move into a new house and your neighbor share the same name as your last neighbor, you know, it's like, wait a minute, hold on, what kind of Johnny are you? And I think that's kind of how we are with Mondays. It's like, man, last Monday, look like this. And any other day that looks like this, including a Monday, now I'm on guard.
Yeah.
And so the quote says, like, go into every moment, right? Always believe that something wonderful is about to happen. That includes Mondays.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
includes going into the week, not with the pessimistic attitude, but with optimism, with hope, right? I know one of my favorite books to read said, believe in all things, hope all things, love all things, really setting your focus like a flint, right? Wherever you want to go, every goal that you want to achieve, anything that you desire, if you push toward it with hope and optimism, believing at least something good will happen, then I believe that we have more power to influence that situation than we don't.
You know, our mindset is so powerful. You know that, you guys watching know that.
Yeah.
And it seems like everything believes for greatness other than our minds. Because our mind, that's kind of, it's wired from a place of past.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're mind, body, spirit. The spirit is like in the future, the body's in the present. Obviously, I'm here, you're here. And then, but the soul is in the past. And so the mind operates from what we were able to accomplish, what capacity we think that we have, what all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I had an appointment recently. My wife is kind of like a homeopathic guru, right?
She be on the herbs and the spices.
All of that
and
stuff.
Yeah.
So I went to this appointment yesterday. It was a 2-hour, they did an eye reading, right? And so she did something that was amazing. She told me to pinch my fingers together, my thumb and my middle finger, right? And keep it at the same pressure.
Okay.
Be consistent, whatever. If you're gonna do hard, do hard. If you're going, but keep it up with some pressure. Then put my hand palm up and then palm down. And so like we're magnetic.
Okay.
And so when I had my palm up, she was able to separate my fingers, like pulling them apart.
Wow.
And when I put my palm down, she could not.
Okay.
Right? And then she goes on to explain that the cells in us believe in this negative and positive, kind of like a magnet.
Yeah.
So what is truth, then our body becomes solid, and what's a lie, then our body kind of rejects it and reacts in a way that's weaker.
Okay.
So she had my hands together and she said, say you're ugly. And she pulled my hands apart, my fingers apart. I mean, like I couldn't hold it together.
So you don't believe you're ugly is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, the body, not the mind. We're talking about the body, right? And so,
My body, no, I'm fine.
and my mind too, but no, but so when she said, now say you're handsome, and she could not pull my fingers apart. And then she said, say that you are weak, right? And I said, I'm weak, and she was able to pull my fingers apart. And then she said, say you're strong, right? And so, and I asked her this intentionally. I said, okay, so in my mind, if I feel like I'm ugly, would you have been able to pull my fingers apart whenever I said I'm handsome? And she said, the how we are wired and the cells have nothing to do with the mind. That has everything to do with how we're created. Wow. And so we have to get to a place of coming into alignment with the perfect creation and how we're created and what we're created for, and not allow our mind to be limited by what people have said. Has anybody ever said anything foul to you?
Absolutely.
Have you ever failed?
Yes.
Have you ever been rejected?
Yes.
Have you ever swiped your card and it was NSF? Right?
Yes.
So, but then we live from that.
Yeah.
Right? And that has nothing to do with that whole belief system. We belief comes from faith, and faith is believing in something that you have not seen.
See, this is why I believe it's so important, like even hearing that, and that's new to me.
It's
like
powerful.
That whole process. But why it's so important for us to think those things and to speak those things and to live and walk those things. And then also to be aligned in all the areas of our body, our mind, our spirit, like our family, our friends, our home. Like when things are disjointed, it's easy to pick apart those things. But like if we say those things and we walk those things and we believe those things and we live those things, then there's no part of us that can be pulled apart.
That's right.
And this is why I love like the hope aspect, right? The hope, I believe, like covers the area where there may be doubt, right? If we believe there's any doubt in a Monday, in the week, in our success, in our goals, I believe that hope kind of covers the gap.
That's right.
Hope serves as a bridge to get us from one place to another until we can confidently put our feet on solid ground in that area. Right? It's like if I believe something about my wife or my kids or my job or my situation, like sometimes where I believe it firmly and whether I believe it weakly, hope will kind of get me there until things solidify. And so when we go into situations, whether it's our confidence or our marriage, our family, our kids, our job, whatever it is, if we go in hoping those things, expecting good things to happen, I believe good things will arrive.
That's right. And just speaking it, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to be able to allow it to come out of your mouth. What's in your heart is going to come out of your mouth. You know, and so if all that comes out is negativity, like, oh, here comes Monday again, or oh, here we go another week, or oh, going back to this job, or oh. And so, you know, if what is it? What you honor draws closer to you, and what you dishonor draws away from you. And so if you're, oh, I hate this job, but you want a pay raise.
Yeah.
You know, you want promotion. You want to get promoted at the place you hate.
You want to work more at the place that you don't want to be at.
Right. So I think that if we get to a place of believing and hoping and honoring Monday, then we can step into it, allowing it to draw the day to draw closer to you so that you can defeat it. Like I'm about to knock it out the park on Monday. I'm working towards my promotion. I'm working towards getting this pay raise.
Absolutely.
You know, and when I was in the military, whatever rank I wanted to be, I wore it under my lapel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I would wear it under there. And it was a reminder to me that I'm acting like that next rank.
The next level.
Yeah.
That's really good. Right. So I know that oftentimes we get in kind of this like this metaphorical space, or we get in these positions where we're talking about things conceptually. I never want anybody watching this video, this podcast, listening, watching, sitting here, spending time with us to walk away without anything that's very practical. So I'm going to share something that's practical. G, hopefully, I know you got something that's practical. But for me, when I think about spinning something or hoping things, there's something that I heard a while back that has completely changed my perspective. And that saying was, I don't lose, I learn. Now, obviously, the scoreboard says something different, right? Like when I go into a situation and I didn't book the gig, or I didn't get as much as I wanted, or the words didn't flow out how I wanted it, or my wife got upset, or I didn't do what obviously, I've lost in some areas. I failed in some areas. But to me, they only remain losses and failures if I don't learn from them.
That's right.
And so the saying, I never lose, but I always learn. I don't lose, I learn. To me, it's been helpful to be able to take something positive from every situation. Now, some situations, it's a lot easier to pull positivity from, optimism from, than others. Obviously, if I come through with a win, that post-game speech after you win is usually a little bit better than that post-game speech if you lost. I've been in locker rooms, I've been on teams, I've played sports, and when you come in the room and you win, coach is a little different than when you lose, right? If you give good effort and you lost by a little bit, the talk is a little different than if you didn't give any effort at all. So one of the things that I've learned coming throughout life is I try to pull a positive nugget, perspective, silver lining of every situation out of a scenario, and that helps me to at least revisit it, right, with a little bit more optimism. Gee, what's something that's very practical that you do that helps you to always expect something positive, to go in with hope, with high expectation, to not be so like a negative Nelly, or like what's something that you practically do that keeps you in that space?
This is no lie something I do. But before I mention that, I want to share with everyone watching, like, we don't come from a place of perfection.
Absolutely not.
Right? Like, we're sitting on here and we're sharing with you based off of life experiences.
Yeah.
And these are things that we have to go back and rewatch to remind ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so I don't ever want anyone to think like, oh man, they got it together. I want to be like G and Derek. I promise you, evaluate that well.
This struggle.
So this is really, really practical that I do every single time, every situation, good, bad, or indifferent. Because whether I win or whether I lose, there's an emotion that is expelled from me. So if I win, what does that emotion of winning look like?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I don't do so well, what does that emotion look like?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what I always commit to is this, revisiting.
Okay.
Right? And so I always get to a space, once the emotion is gone, that I revisit. There's a timeline that I constantly look at in my mind, right? This timeline to the left is past, and to my right is future, right? And so I'm looking at this timeline, like kind of like you would on a history book, right? Chronologically, and I go back to that. I like hover over this timeline and I go back to that space.
This is good.
And I watch that from an abstract point of view.
So no, like you try to remain as neutral as possible.
As neutral as possible. And I'm replaying conversation. I'm replaying what I could have done differently. I'm rethinking how I could have changed the outcome in any way. And then what I do is then I come back to where I'm at and I think forward. When I think forward, what does that look like? But a lot of times, if we don't change our perspective moving forward, we'll stay in that space back there.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So what I do is I'm looking, let's say, for example, you think forward and you're thinking smoky and dark and like a roller coaster and all over the place. That's not a good perspective to have moving forward. Because what happens is that then you didn't fix that thing back there. And so when I could think of light and momentum and bright and all of that stuff, then I'm like, okay, I'm at a good space to move forward. I do this every single time.
That's good. That's a good practice. So whether you are facilitating a workshop, whether you're talking on stage, whether you're at home talking with your kids, your wife, engaging someone on the street, out in the community, whenever you do that, whenever you make a decision and have a conversation, you come out of an experience, you make sure that you go back and you visit. You think back and you think forward.
That's right.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I was thinking as you said, and you actually took the words out of my mouth, for those of us that are overthinkers, that are people pleasers, right? I think sometimes we can get stuck in those spaces and we never move forward, or we are unable to change or edit or audit or how do we adjust our perspective? Because we get stuck back there. And when we get stuck, I think sometimes that fear prevents us from moving forward, or that failure prevents us from moving forward. So I would encourage people, as you look backwards over conversations, over decisions, over your workday, over your week, over your month, be intentional, right? Make it a point, a perspective, a bullseye and aim to not get stuck back there, but to move forward. The reason we revisit and the reason we try to hover and be abstract about it is so that we can learn from those things, improve, get better, move forward, and do it better the next time. Is that correct?
No, that's right. I mean, think about, I love UFC, I love combative sports, right? And so the champion loses, and then immediately he wants a rematch.
Yeah.
What does he do?
Yeah,
he's rewatching that video.
He's been playing it like, I know what I did. I should have did this. Yeah.
Like, he knows the moment that he got punched in the face.
Yeah.
After that, he might not remember too much. But he's watching video. He's replaying that thing in his mind. He's listening to his coach.
Ooh, this is good, G.
And so, like, this is how we have to do it. You've played basketball. You're a good basketball player. You got a good jump shot, right? And so I'm sure that maybe your team, I know most teams, they rewatch video. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did we do? How can we do this?
Yeah.
And so how can you beat Monday? You got to replay this thing.
Ooh, you got to run it back.
You got to run it back.
You got to run it back. I don't know how many of y'all, this is why this scenario, this example hits so hard for me, because if I'm playing basketball and I shoot a shot and I miss it, I'm asking for the ball back. Like, give me that back. Like, I made this shot before. I know I can make this shot. I know what I did. I didn't use my legs. I didn't flick my wrist. I give you the ball back. I also play tennis or table tennis. It was like, if I miss a shot, I'm like, give it back, give it back. If we lose to a team, I'm like, he's not that good. I didn't play defense. You didn't play defense. Like, I'm like, run it back. So this is so good. Like, I love the fact that this is another, like, perspective on Mondays. We should be anticipating Monday. Like, give me another one.
That's right.
I messed up last week. I know exactly what I did. I didn't do this on Tuesday. I didn't do this on Wednesday. I watched too much social media. I slept in. I stayed up too late. I didn't exercise. I didn't drink my water. I didn't eat well. I let them get under my skin. I didn't handle this with my spouse. I let my kids do this, my neighbor, the trash can, the grass, the dog. Run it back. Give me another one. Give me another Monday, man. I want to do it better.
Yeah, but you know what? If you take a look at, I was thinking this morning on the way in and thinking about Monday Huddle, I'm like, every day could be Monday.
Every day.
Because tomorrow morning we're like, let's run it back.
Yeah.
You know, if you are in a relationship, right, and the relationship hasn't worked out well, you know what? Run it back. Just don't do a rebound.
Yeah.
Rebound and run it back are two different things.
Different things.
You know, you had a conversation with your kid and they got you mad and you said something that was just kind of like really negative. Run that back. Hey, listen, I apologize and let's run it back.
Absolutely.
Every day could be a Monday.
Yeah.
If you can get to a place of a new restart, running it back and giving it your best shot again. Believing. You got to believe. Listen, you have to believe that you can succeed.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, I'm like, you know, my current life, where all the things that I'm involved in, if I had to do this for 5 more years, would I want to?
You poking at people now, G. You poking at people. People just want to go to work. They want to make money. They just, you're talking about greatness. You're talking about improvement. You're talking about next level type stuff. You're talking about asking for more time, more commitment. You're talking about expanding.
Yeah.
I think you're poking the bear right now.
All of that. We have to get to a place where we desire more.
Yeah.
Because your children, that's the legacy that's coming behind you. Inheritance is not just money.
Ooh.
Your kids don't know what they don't know, right? You don't like how they yell and their attitude. Well, they learned it from somebody.
Where they get it from?
Right.
Right.
And so just like they will learn how to open up their mouth, like we open up our mouth when somebody crosses us on a highway, or how we treat other people.
Absolutely.
They learn that, but they can also learn greatness, drive, task. I love when my kids say, Dad got drive like I've never seen before.
Yeah. That's amazing.
To me, that's greater than any dollar amount that I could give to them.
Yeah, and to me, there's a hope value attached to it too. As if, like, if he can do it, like I can.
That's right.
Right. If he's learned how to do it, he's going to show me how to do it.
That's right.
This is why I think it's so important. And I know we're past time. We're going to wrap up here in a minute, but I want to end on a couple more things. This is why I think it's important, as we're running it back, to have people around us to tell us to shoot it again.
Yeah, so good. That
right?
is good.
I know people in the league. Ben Simmons, for the longest time, would not take a 3. You know why? Because he missed a bunch of them. And so one mindset says, I missed, let me not do it again. Another mindset says, I missed, let me shoot it again.
That's
and
right.
I want us to be people that anticipate Monday.
That's right.
That if Monday didn't work, then I get a chance to do it again on Tuesday.
That's
and
right.
if the week was a bust, let me pick out what I did well and let's run it back next week.
That's right.
Not that I want us to take for granted that it's going to continue to come around and that we'll get those opportunities, but that we anticipate
That's right.
the opportunity and that we have the desire to do it again.
That's
So
right.
this is so important for us. I'm going to say one more thing. G's going to get the last word. I want you to know that we want you to go into every situation expecting good things. The quote says, always believe that something wonderful is about to happen. No matter the day of the week, you control your optimism. You may not be able to control what happens to you, but you get to control how you respond. G, what do you think about that?
Listen, all I want you guys to do right now is in the comments type, I'm running it back. Because this is your season to run it back. All areas that you've been afraid of touching, those dreams, those visions, those goals that you put on a shelf for whatever reason, put in the comment, listen, I'm running it back. Share this with somebody that you love, that you care about, and we want to continue to do life with you. I'm G.
I'm Derek.
And we will see you next week. Go beat your Monday.
Peace.